So first of all, my apologies for the lateness of this video. I had some pretty odd hardware issues that I seem to have fixed, so you should be seeing this and hopefully hearing me clearly on this Thursday morning's video. So we have the first hand to look at, which was board number 7 from the Thursday morning game. We see what should have been the most normal auction on this hand. North should just be playing 2 diamonds, which only one of the tables did today at the club. So let's take a peek at the auction. We start with the North hand. After 2 passes, we're just going to open 1 diamond, and our partner's going to respond 1 heart with this normal hand here as the South player. We're going to be rebidding 1 spade, which is going to show 4 spades for sure. And the range here is about 12 to 17-ish, right? When we bid a new suit as the opener. Because sometimes we're going to just have unbalanced hands in that no trump range that we can't show right away. But really, we just have a pretty good 13 here. And now as South, the most normal call is really 1 no trump. We're not going to be rebidding our hearts because that's going to show 6 and probably a worse hand than what we're holding here. And I don't want you to worry about clubs. Sometimes length can be a stopper. All right, so when you have 4 of a suit, even though you don't technically have a stopper, first of all, no one's bid the suit, and second of all, length is sometimes a stopper, especially only at the 1 level. So I don't want you to worry about bidding a no trump here. And now North should just pull 1 no trump to 2 diamonds. With this sort of shape, right? They haven't shown their extra diamonds yet. We don't necessarily want to be playing no trump. And it's because of the quality of our diamond suit, really. If our diamond suit was much better in quality, maybe we would give 1 no trump a shot, right? But when we just kind of have king empty sixth of diamonds, it's still a suit that may set up, but it's going to take a little bit more work usually if partner doesn't have good diamonds. So just be careful there. I think this is the best auction for board number 7 here, and you should just play a comfortable 2 diamonds, which can make 4 on the best play. Let's take a look at the next one. So on board 9, I have us sitting west for the time being, and it's after this auction. We saw 2 passes by the north and the east player, and then south opened 1 heart. And now we just overcalled 1 spade, normal, and left-hand opponent bid 2 hearts, and it went pass, pass back to us. Now, here is the rule for you, but it's a rule that's a little uncomfortable in this situation. If the opponents are playing 2 of a suit that we know they have a fit in, it's usually never right to let them play there. However, look at the colors on this particular hand. On this board, east-west are vulnerable and north-south aren't, and we're sitting in the west chair. So here's the vulnerability from our perspective. Right, this is not necessarily the most comfortable bid. If you do bid something, you're probably just going to rebid 2 spades, right? Because your other option is to proceed to the 3 level in diamonds. Choose a different action, but that seems like the most likely. And the reason we were actually in trouble on this hand is because South should be opening this hand always in third seat, right? They have a 10 count, which obviously we're not going to open in any seat. But look at this from South's perspective. They are not vulnerable, right? Their opponents are vulnerable, and they are in third position. So if we chose to pass this hand, we actually gave the opponents kind of an easy way to find their diamond fit, right? It's going to go a spade by the west player if we pass as south, and then east if they're not playing any sort of jury here, they could just bid 2 diamonds, which is natural, non-game forcing, because they're a passed hand already, right? So this shows you the advantages to actually opening light in third seat. Even though it didn't shut the opponents out completely, the raise by our partner made a lot of sense, obviously, and made it more uncomfortable for the opponents to be bidding, which is why the rule stands, right? The rule that we don't ever want to let the opponents play 2 of a suit we know they have a fit in would have worked well here. If the West player actually takes a call, they'll find their diamond fit and play some diamonds. Most of you at the club today were in some number of hearts, or some of you actually played some spades as well. So if you balanced with the 2 spade bid, you were going to do okay. If you balanced with something else, especially diamonds, you were also going to do okay. But for those of you that just got to play 2 hearts, probably because we made that opening bid that made the most sense, you went down 2, which some of you sit there and say, oh my God, I went down 2. This is so bad. But really, it's an excellent score because down 2 non vulnerable is only minus 100, whereas diamonds making 4 or 5 is 130 or 150, and spades making 3 or 4 is 140 or 170. Right, so going down a couple when you're not vulnerable is not a bad thing when the opponents have at least a part score that they can make. So for those of you that did play 2 hearts in the south down 2, you actually did quite well on this hand. Let's take a look at the next board. And the next one is board number 12. The auction's going to start with the West player, who is obviously on our left here, starting with just a normal one, no trump bid, right? They have a balanced 15. And now North is going to have to decide what to do. At these colors, notice that North-South are vulnerable, East-West are not. I would tend to be passing with this hand, just trying to play defense. I have a pretty normal spade lead, and I have a potential entry, so no trump might be bad for my opponents. And I don't want to step on the landmine of showing a good hand here. Right? I don't really have a good hand, even though my shape is terrific. If I had a way to show like spades in a minor, for instance, if I was playing Capoletti, I might do that. If North bids 2 spades, which I think happened at a few tables, so let's see what we would do with East. The thing we just have to remember with the East player is that when we are sitting here after interference by the opponent, as long as it's not double or 2 clubs, which we'll play systems on with, the normal rule is any bid at the 2 level, if it's available, is what's called a drop dead bid. It just shows a bad hand and at least 5 of the suit we're bidding. And any bid at the 3 level is game forcing and natural. So if this was the auction as you're sitting East, you would bid 3 clubs, which is again game forcing and showing 5 or more clubs. And now West would probably just bid 3 no trump. And if we don't have interference, the question is, what do we do with this hand? There's some merit to just jumping to 3 no trump and kind of clouding the issue a little bit, not releasing any information to our opponents. But that spade singleton is really, kind of scary, especially opposite a balanced hand from partner. It seems like a lead that they're going to get off to the most frequently when it goes 1 no and we decide to bid 3 no. It's very normal to lead a major, so we should be a little worried. So we can use a minor suit transfer, which should be 2 spades here. 2 spades should be a transfer to clubs. And after our partner bids 3 clubs, we bid 3 spades. And the question is, what the heck are we doing? We bid 2 spades and then 3 spades. Did we forget we were playing transfers? And the actual bid we're making is just to make a descriptive showing bid, which is spade shortness. After we transfer to a minor, we can't have a major, right? We're never going to start with a minor suit transfer if we have a major suit to investigate. So here, this bid of 3 spades just says partner, I have a game forcing hand with clubs and I have spade shortness. You choose. And the West player, don't get confused here. It doesn't mean we should be playing 5 clubs. It means that heck, we have a lot of tricks in the club suit, right? Our partner showed lots of length in clubs, so if we have spades stopped, which we do, we can bid 3 no trump and expect to make it most of the time. And this is what's going to happen on this hand. And now I'm just going to sit us as West and see how the play is going to go. And I'm letting the robots take over here. Let's see how they defend. The first thing I'm going to do is count my winners. And what I know here is I have 6 club tricks for sure. All right, because I have 10 clubs. And as long as I make sure to unblock this suit, which I'll show you in a second, I'm always going to take 6 of those tricks. And I have 7, the ace of hearts, and 8, the ace of spades. All right, we see the very likely spade lead here, obviously. So if we had 9 tricks, this wouldn't be a problem. We would just take the ace of spades and run off our 9 tricks, but we don't have them yet. So there's no problem in ducking this trick and then ducking the next one that comes back. And here's what we want to do. We never want to pitch a club. That's one, right? Pitching from the club suit would be a disaster because every club you pitch is 1 trick you're pitching to the opponents. So you can pitch a diamond or a heart. It really doesn't matter because all we need is 1 more of those tricks. I'm going to pitch a heart right there, and we'll see that they lead a 3rd spade. And now on this ace of spades, I'm going to pitch a diamond. I let them in with any card. They're going to run their spades, right? Which is a problem. I know one person could have as many as 6, right? And if that's the person to my left, I might be in a little bit of trouble. So this is an interesting spot because we've seen them lead 3 rounds of spades, and we know that the person to our left started with at least 5, and it's because, take a look in the lower right here, they led the 5 of spades, right? And then they played a lower spade, Right? So they led the 5 and then they played the 2. And that said, not only did I lead fourth best, but I just played a lower card, so I started with at least 5. And here comes the signal that is really going to help us. They played the king of spades on the last spade trick, right? Which seems like, are they short in this suit? And we know they can't be because we just discovered they have 5. But the king of spades is actually one of the few times the robot will signal is when they're signaling a suit preference card. And that king of spades says to partner, hey, if you're trying to get to my hand, the higher of the remaining suits, which is hearts here, is one of the ways you can get there. So that should suggest to us, and if we're playing against good opponents and they're making these signals, it's good for them, but it's also good for us sometimes. And that signals to us that likely the heart finesse is losing. Right? So moral to the story here is, first of all, we just start running our clubs, and the situation might be revealed to us naturally. We want to be very careful. We want to make sure to unblock the club suit, and that means on this third round of clubs, we can't play a low club. We have to play the 10 so that we can overtake it with the queen, and now we can start running these clubs off. We're going to play the 9, and we see what. So lefty's been pitching spades pretty regularly, right? They pitched the queen of spades, they pitched the 8 of spades, and now they've pitched a low spade. So that is all the spades gone. So now we are in perfect shape. However, if our left-hand opponent didn't do that, we would have to guess what to do next. And that signal we saw earlier would help us. So at this point, if we were worried about that heart finesse, we would have to play this card, the king of diamonds. And at this point, we know our left-hand opponent doesn't have any spades left, so we could take a heart finesse. But let's say that they weren't as obvious and they didn't pitch all their spades away. If there were some spades left at this moment, you would never, ever risk this heart finesse. Right? You would play the ace because you've already set up your 9th trick in the dummy with that queen there. So you take your 9 tricks and you see if their suit preference signal was right, and it was. Right? Left-hand opponent did have the king of hearts on this hand, so it's an interesting play. It's probably not the same way it went at your table, but in this case, all you're worried about is counting your winners and figuring out how you're going to get that extra trick. If we didn't get all the signals, maybe you did take the heart finesse. But if you play it this exact way, you're always going to make it because this hand is just set up for you to make if you knock out the ace of diamonds. So a lot of you were in 3-0 going down, and that's pretty normal if you're going to take that heart finesse there. On this particular hand, my opponents at this particular table, the robots, gave me a little extra information to go on and also made it very easy by pitching their good tricks away, which is a lesson to all of you. On these hands, if you have tricks, you want to try to save as many as you can while still protecting the other suits. And the problem with that north hand there was they had to protect hearts always, so they were eventually going to have to start pitching some of those tricks away. And those are the powers of those long suits, right? Never fail to run your long suit, especially if you have entries back and forth, because this is really tough to get past as the opponent. You've defended hands before where they're running a 6 or 7 card suit. It gets uncomfortable, right? And the opponents are very frequently going to give you tricks. But have a long, strong suit like that, especially in no trump, rarely is going to hurt you to play that suit first. Let's take a look at the next board, which is number 16. And I'm going to sit against the robots again and just see what happens on this hand. As the south player, even in first chair, I would be opening this hand, right? I know it's only 11 points, but think of the rule of 20. I have 11 points. I have a 6 card club suit. So if I add 11 to the total number of cards in my 2 longest suits, which are clubs and diamonds, I get to 20, which means I should open this hand. And here's my rule of thumb. I will very frequently open 11s with good 5 card suits. I will always open 11s with a 6 card suit. I just think it's very normal. You have close enough to an opening hand, and you have a source of tricks in your hand regardless of what it looks like. I think it's worthwhile to be opening it. So we open a club, and our left-hand opponent bids 3 spades. Now, this is interesting. We'll look at that hand afterwards. But now our partner doubles, which is still a negative double, guys. We play this double as negative all the way up to and including at least 3 spades. Most of my partnerships we play it even higher than that, up to at least 4 hearts or more. So this is always, hey, partner, I definitely have hearts. And here, they're also showing a game-forcing hand. Because look at the level they're forcing us to. They're forcing us to at least 3-0 or the 4 level. So this is a strong hand from partner. The only response we have to this, unfortunately, is four clubs, which gets us past 3-0, unfortunately. But we see after we bid four clubs, our partner raises us to five, and we are just going to pass. And that's where we'll end up. So in this hand, it looks like they're always going to beat us in five clubs. We just can't take enough tricks because they're going to get off to this ace of spades lead, and they're going to get their ruff right away, and then they'll eventually get a diamond trick on this hand. The heart suit unfortunately doesn't set up, and the heart finesse is off, so it's pretty unlucky to be in this contract five clubs going down one. A lot of times you'd be making, if you just saw the dummy, you'd be happy. But here they're going to get three tricks no matter what you do if they defend correctly. To be honest, most of you were just in four spades. And let's take a quick peek at that north hand here. It's not unreasonable at these colors as the north hand to just bid four spades, to be honest. This is a well-shaped hand with all of our cards working for us. Remember, I've referenced this a few times. We have ace, jack, 10, seventh of spades, king, queen, third of diamonds, right? Our hand is a little bit strong to be preempting, but after our right-hand opponent opens, at these colors, it's not a bad bid just to bomb off four spades. Right? I know it doesn't have eight cards in it, but sometimes your shape and your cards are so good that it's worth getting in there and preempting one time. And think about it, guys. We want to put the maximum amount of pressure on our opponents that we can. All right. So in this spot, four spades certainly makes our decision very easy, and theirs much harder. As the East player, if it did go one club, four spades, I think the best bid for you is double, which here shouldn't be negative. I would suggest playing negative doubles through either three spades or four hearts, but four spades and above, I would play as penalty, and East has an easy penalty double, right? Their partner opened the bidding, and they have this hand. The only thing I might be worried about is missing potential slam on this hand, to be honest, considering our cards. But really, take the easiest plus score you can, which would be doubling four spades with these values. All right, guys, let's take a look at board number 17. And I'm just going to sit in all the seats here and show you what should be the best auction. And here it starts with pass by the North player. Do not preempt this hand. First off, you have the worst suit, maybe the worst suit you could have, right? There could be worse ones, but here we have a five count. None of our cards are really working well for us, right? We have no winners basically, and we're flat as well. Even with having a six card suit, it's just the worst possible spot. You don't want partner expecting this in your hand when you preempt in first seat. All right, so East is going to make a normal one diamond opener. I would most likely be bidding with the South hand, just two clubs. This I would open this hand always because I have ace, king, ace, and I have a reasonable five card suit and something outside. And that's where West will just bid two spades, which is not 2/1, right? Because we're in a competitive auction, but it's still a good enough hand. It's 10 plus. North is going to pass for sure. North still hates their hand, I hope. And now East is going to be stuck here. What are they going to do over two spades? They can bid two no trump because really they do have the suit stop that they're supposed to, which is the most likely course of action. They're either going to do that or they're going to bid three diamonds, right? Those are their only two choices because two spades, while it's not game forcing, guys, is still a forcing bid, right? So East cannot pass. So East is going to make a somewhat uncomfortable two no trump bid, but now West is just going to bid three spades, which should be exactly what they're looking at, like an invitational hand with six. And as the East player, even though I do have good diamonds, I have wasted clubs on this auction. All right, my left-hand opponent has bid this suit, which is my second best suit. So even though one of these, maybe even more, on a lucky day might take a trick, this is still a wasted value situation. So here, even though my diamonds are so good, I have a 12-point hand in high card points, but again, the king of clubs can't be full value here, right? And the length there can't be that great. So we are just going to pass three spades. And if you ended up playing three spades on this hand, you did well. You made three exactly. Four goes down, so you're never going to make that. So if you got any higher than this, you did not the best, right? But here I saw a number of you in three spades and two spades, so you did very well. Plus 140 was worth a certain above average on this board at the club today. All right, let's take a look at board 20, and the last one will be 21. So 21 should have involved another preemptive auction. The West player sitting over here with this nice spade suit is just going to start the auction with one spade. and North should put some pressure on their opponents by bidding three hearts. Now, this is a situation where you're vulnerable, but you're also equally vulnerable, right? So this is kind of middle of the road territory, risk reward wise. And really, again, the difference here between some of the other ones, we have a very good suit, King, Queen, 10, 8, 6. And all of our cards seem to be working for us, right? We have good chances of taking tricks with all of our high card points, and we have a reasonable six card suit. And now East is at a very uncomfortable level, and they're certainly not strong enough to take a call, even with their six card diamond suit, so they're going to pass. South is definitely going to pass. No reason to raise here, guys. Partner only showed six of them, and they also showed a weak hand, right? You should be very happy to be putting this dummy down and secure that you're either going to make it or go down very few, right, when partner's preempting in this spot. And here is where we usually say you should reopen the auction with a double. However, there's a bit of difference here, and it's because our spades are just so darn good, right? We have six solid, and the longer our suit and the better it is, the less likely we're going to take tricks on defense with it. On this hand, we'll actually take two, but we can't know that looking at these cards. So the reason we can't double is if partner is planning on passing this, we have a very terrible defensive hand. We have like no tricks down here, and we may have very few in our best suit. So to avoid that from happening, I would just be bidding three spades as the West player, and you can see how this preempt is going to work. What does East do? Right? They should realize that partner's likely to be short in hearts because of what they're looking at. They do have excellent diamonds, but they also only have one spade and two small clubs. So unless partner can set up diamonds somehow, they might not even be making three spades for all we know. So unfortunately, as much as you might be tempted to bid, and partner did show some extra stuff by bidding three spades, I think you're just locked in to be playing three spades on this hand. Problem is, most of you made five or six on this particular hand because it sounds like we probably did not take all of the tricks we had coming to us. We probably played heart and then another heart, which is the wrong way to defend this hand because if we're playing three spades, and let's take a peek at this, the North player is certainly going to lead the King of Hearts, and here's what South is going to see. They're going to win the ace, right? Always unblock in this spot when you have ace small and partner leads the king. So South is going to be thinking, okay, my partner preempted, which showed six hearts. There were four in the dummy. I started with two, so this seven is the last heart declare has. And the other downside is, oh my goodness, they have a heck of a source of tricks sitting there in dummy. So if I don't cash my tricks out now, I am never getting them. So the next play should be the ace of clubs and then another club. This should only make four every day because we get to take the first trick and then we get to switch to the correct suit, right? Whenever you see a source of tricks in the dummy, which this is a clear source of tricks, we should be very worried about our winners going away. And that's exactly what will happen if we don't cash our tricks out, which is why four of you actually made 12 tricks in spades and one of you made 11, right? We should only get 10 every day because South is in control of this one. And now, last but not least, this is the board I had the most questions on from the morning set, and this was board number 21. Easy spot for our two club opener, and that's what we're going to do. And now the question becomes, what do we do if we're sitting west? And here's the issue. You would love to bid two diamonds, which is the waiting bid, and then maybe if partner bids two no trump, you can make a transfer and right side this contract. And honestly, bidding any suit at this point other than two diamonds is supposed to show a good quality 5+ suit with two of the top three honors. But this is a weird exception to that, in my opinion, and that's because we are so shapely that we want to actually avoid driving the auction to an uncomfortable level. So the weird part about this is if we bid two diamonds first, partner's going to have made another call above that before we ever get to show one of our suits. And we really need the opportunity to show both if necessary. And that's the reason, in a weird spot, I would just bid two hearts with this hand, which automatically alerts partner to two things. Number one, I have a real heart suit, and number two, I'm strong enough to do this, so I should have like a good 8 or more. And this shape here more than makes up for my only 7 points. And again, as I keep saying, I hate to keep beating the drum, but my points are really working well for me, right? I have all of my points in my two best suits, and the spot cards and hearts are just sublime, right? These are great cards to have, even though they're not worth points. They are excellent cards for trick taking and for setting up this suit. And now when I show you the rest of the hands, we'll see that we have the simplest auction now. Now East bids three hearts. They don't even show their spades or their diamonds. They do nothing but raise hearts because their partner just told them, hey, not only do I have a five card suit with two of the top three honors, I have a good hand. And now East should recognize that West doesn't have two of the top three honors, which means, hey, there's a good reason for this. Usually more hearts than they expect and extra shape. Right? So all of these bids that we're making, if we're in a good experienced partnership, we're going to kind of understand that partner can't necessarily have exactly what they're showing, so there's really good reason for this, right? And this is the most helpful skill I can just tell you to try to develop is to picture partner's hand and also picture partner's other choices, right? They had lots of choices here. They chose to bid hearts. And now we can start a control bidding sequence, and that would start with West bidding three spades, which is not, hey, I also have spades. That's, hey, I heard we have a heart fit. We're in a game force. I have first round control of the spade suit. And that should be obvious what West is looking at now. If we're only bidding first round control, West has a void. If we're bidding second, it's also good for the East player, right? Having shortness in this suit or the king is a pretty darn good thing to have, especially for playing in another trump suit. So now really all East needs to know is about key cards. So they're going to bid 4 no trump. And now West is going to bid 5 diamonds, which is 0 or 3 key cards, which is the correct bid, right? They do not have any key cards, but they've already shown control in spades, so that should be somewhat revealing here. So now East has a real big problem. And the question is, okay, my partner shows no key cards, so I have how many total? Let's see, I have 1 in spades, I have 2 in hearts, and I have 1 in diamonds. So we have 4 key cards, but we're missing the queen. How do I ask for the queen? Well, usually it would be 5 hearts here, but that would be a sign off now. It would say we can't play slam, but remember, that first 2 heart bid is going to save us, right? Once we bid 2 hearts, partner's going to know we can't have done this with 5 small, right? Or 6 small, or probably even 7 small hearts, right? We would go about it in a different way. So we should know that partner's holding obviously shape, but reasonable enough hearts to be confident to bid 6. And that's where we should end up on this hand. 6 hearts by the West. If we did anything else, it's possible we still got to play slam. It's just questionable as to what happened next. If West bids 2 diamonds, East will likely bid 2 spades. West will bid 3 hearts, and now East will raise to 4 hearts. There's a level higher than we were in our auction. Here's a spot where 2 hearts would really start the conversation off on a much lower level. And if we had to show clubs, it's obviously much preferred that we're doing it this way after showing hearts. And then we get to bid clubs naturally, and partner will have a good idea of what we're looking at. So let's take a look at how we make 6 hearts on this end. 6 hearts is going to be pretty straightforward because we have to recognize we have all the good trump. Right? If we recognize that right away, we're going to do real well. and the most normal lead for North is probably either a heart or a lot of you would just lead a club, honestly leading away from the least in this case. And on a club lead, it's actually a lot easier. On a heart lead, at least we start by drawing some of the opponent's trump, and we'll see why that's important in a second. On this lead, we're going to win it in the dummy, and I'll show you why in a second. And South is going to follow suit, and we're going to play low. At this moment, we have all of the big trumps. And this spot is never a problem for drawing trump because we have all of the big ones. They've just drawn 1 round for us. Now we have to make sure to play a club. Right? Before we get rid of all these hearts over here, we want to make sure we have at least the ability to ruff 1 or more of those cards. Right? And that's the big thing here. If we don't do this now, we may never make this contract. So we're going to play a low club. South is absolutely going to play their ace because what else are they going to do, guys? They're always going to play that card because they can see that if they don't get it now, they will never get it. And now the best play for them, to be honest, is another trump. And we will again win that in the dummy. doesn't really matter what we're going to win it with. And now we would play the ace of spades and throw a club. Boom. And now we play a low spade. We're not fearing ever getting over roughed because we have all the high trumps, remember? And now I get to ruff again with the heart. And there goes my last losing club. I play one more spade. Never worried here. I know how many trumps are left. And now I just draw trump and put my hand on the table, making 6. If they didn't lead a heart, it's even easier. You can essentially cross rough the entire hand out if they never touch the hearts. You just cash the ace king of diamonds first and you're home free. So apologies again for the long time it took to create this video, but it seems like we have all the kinks worked out. And I will see you again next week for the Thursday morning game and the recap on Thursday evenings. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.